The lawyer cleared his throat. My son leaned back in his chair like he already owned the air in the room. He smiled at me, polite, practiced, hollow. "We'll turn it into a family business," he said, as if he hadn't erased me from his life 4 years earlier with a single sentence and a blocked number. That smile was my cue, because I already knew how this would end. I used to believe blood meant loyalty. That was before my brother died on a frozen ridge and left behind a lodge worth $1.36 million, and before my only son decided I was inconvenient. At 63, I was suddenly too much, too opinionated, too slow, too honest. He told me over the phone. No visit, no eye contact. "Dad, I can't carry you anymore. I'm done." Click. I remember staring at the wall afterward, noticing a crack I'd never seen before. That was the moment I learned how quietly things break. My brother, Daniel, was different. He never married, never softened, but he watched everything. We grew up poor, shared coats, shared secrets. When he built that mountain lodge, stone by stone, permit by permit, I helped on weekends. I fixed leaks, I hauled timber, I slept on cold floors. My son came once, took photos, talked about potential. Daniel noticed that too. The betrayal didn't come all at once. It arrived in patterns. A missed birthday, a forwarded email not meant for me, about estate planning, about managing Dad's assets. A sudden warmth when Daniel fell ill. My son visited him 3 times in 1 month. I visited every week. I didn't confront anyone. I watched. That's the thing about getting older. You stop mistaking noise for power. When Daniel asked me to drive him up the mountain one last time, his hands were already shaking. Snow pressed against the windshield like static. "I know what he's doing," Daniel said, eyes forward. "I know," I replied. He nodded. Then he said, "I need you to promise me something." I didn't ask what. I just said yes. That was the day my mindset shifted. No anger, no speeches, just clarity. Daniel introduced me to his attorney 2 weeks later. Not mine, his. We went over everything. Trusts, clauses, conditions. I didn't rush him. I didn't suggest anything. I just answered questions honestly. About my son, about the calls that stopped, about the silence. Daniel listened. He always did. The plan wasn't revenge. Revenge is loud. This was design. The lodge would go to me. Clean, absolute, public. But the final clause, that was Daniel. A conditional successor. A test. If I chose to pass ownership to my son, he would receive it only after 5 years of documented personal care, residency at the lodge, and 0 outside investors. No shortcuts, no leverage, no flipping it for profit. And if he failed, the lodge would be donated to a land trust in my brother's name, permanent, irrevocable. Daniel signed it with steady hands. He died 3 months later. Back in the lawyer's office, my son was still smiling until the clause was read. I watched his jaw tighten, watched the math collapse behind his eyes. 5 years, no investors, live there, care for me. Me, the man he abandoned. He laughed once, sharp, nervous. "This is a joke." The lawyer didn't smile. I said nothing. Afterward, in the hallway, my son followed me. "You knew," he said. I stopped, looked at him, really looked. "I knew who you were," I replied. His voice dropped. "You'd really let it go to strangers?" I thought of Daniel, of the mountain at dawn, of silence earned. "Yes," I said. He never moved to the lodge, never called again. 6 months later, he tried to contest the will. Lost. 2 years later, the land trust took ownership. They turned it into a retreat for families rebuilding trust. The plaque out front bears Daniel's name. Mine is nowhere on it. That feels right. People ask if I regret it, if it hurt to watch my own son walk away twice. Here's the truth. The first time broke me. The second time freed me. Because justice doesn't always look like punishment. Sometimes it looks like boundaries carved in stone, and silence, finally, working in your favor.